Before we begin, just letting you know that I am recording the audio in my studio so that you do not have to listen to the weird ambient noise on and off throughout the presentation that will happen outside. So, let's begin. Here are the shields that I have, presenting you with the different shapes, sizes, colors of all the different types of mostly center grip shields. We have 32 inches, which is the standard size of most Skjöldrs, the Viking type shield. Half-inch thick, which would be the thicker end. You can see it's horizontal planks of wood with that vertical oaken grip that is riveted. I didn't use rivets, I used screws and bolted it. We have another type of a shield here, but as you can see, it looks different. It has a canvas facing wrapped around the edge, around the back and through the middle there. Different types of designs that we have right there. 24 inches long or wide. It is. We have another 24 inches. This is the small shield. I had some extra wood lying around. No canvas facing on there, but we have a leather rawhide around the edge. See what we have there? You can see both of these ones are all one piece of wood. It's not a plywood. It's not planks. We have a Norman kite shield that I have made up, also half-inch thick. Has the leather rawhide around, no canvas facing, and as you can see, it's just another plywood piece that I have, 2 foot by 4 foot, one piece. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not lying. It is 4 foot long. You see, 48 inches. And now we're going on to back onto the center grip Shiozak. And why is this one so much more lighter? Well, because you can see we're now onto the 1/4 inch section thing. This would be the standard size of what Skjöldrs would be like. Vertical oaken handle with horizontal slats glued together. Again, the standard of the smaller end will be 32 inches. The other size would be about 32 to 36 inches, which I happen to have right here. I decided to make one that was 36 inches wide. And this one, as you can see, has, the bit same oaken handle, horizontal slats, has the only leather rawhide, no canvas facing on the front. In case you're wondering if I'm lying right here, yes, you can see that it is going to be 36 inches wider there. Depending on the type of person who wants to wield, whether they want a 32 or 36-inch wield. Seeing the difference that, yes, there is a bit of a difference of size right there. Let's get a little closer and see that, would you? There we go. That depending on the person you want to wield, that they want to have more protection, but then that means it's a bigger shield that weighs more, you're carrying weight, as opposed to 32 inches. So 36 and 32. I myself prefer the 32-inch shield. It's more light and nimble and provides enough protection that I don't need to have the 36 as of right now. So, moving on, we have another Norman kite shield, exactly like that one, only it is the 1/4 inch thick plywood. Again, all one piece, made it convenient. Have the canvas facing wrapped around and glued together to give it more strength, rigidity, protection from splintering. And one of the last ones that we have here, this is, again, we have the canvas facing. As you can tell, we had to give it more protection. There we had the leather rawhide around the edge. This is actually a 30-inch shield, not 32 inches, so this would be probably the smallest end of Skjöldr. And hey, whoa, what's this? Why do you have two shields over here? Well, I had some extra time and extra wood on my hands. Looks like that one is a bit slightly heavier than the blue one. What is the difference right here? Well, the blue one right here, which I must say is very fancy. I love the design of this one. This one is back to the half-inch thick wood that we have. It is horizontal slats with that vertical oaken handle. Has the canvas facing, as you can see, glued on there. Has the leather rawhide around the edge. But whereas this one right here is half-inch thick, this one right here is actually the same thing, but 1/4 inch thick wood. It has the same exact, leather canvas facing, has leather rawhide, but it is the 1/4 inch slats that I had. This right here is a quarter inch like sheet of plywood that I had that I cut out the circle exact shape and glued it to there to give it the same exact strength and stability as the half-inch one. Just to test to see if it was different. This would never have happened back in the medieval times, but I wanted to see if there was a difference. As you can see, it's kind of negligible. So this one looks like slightly heavier for some reason. So let's go on and destroy. Hello again. Before we go and destroy these, I thought I would let you know about the stuff I'm using to destroy these things with. I, of course, am using a falchion type sword, which is one of my favorite types of swords. This is a Condor Royal Falchion that I got from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I just love the style and design of the falchion. I feel it's so nimble. I love it. Why do you think I named this channel Falchion? It's a play on the words there. And I'm using another weapon prevalent during the Viking era, which would be a spear. This is obviously not a real spear. This is a knife slash spear type hilt handle that you can screw onto any sort of mop handle, push broom that you can order from like any sort of hardware store. It's wooden, almost 6 feet tall, so fairly decent. It's light and nimble. So stabby stab. Let's go ahead and test this out here. And so it begins. This is the sort of the format that we have right here that I decided on to have me just chopping away into these to see what would happen, and then bringing it close up to you guys to show you exactly the aftermath of what actually happened, the damage done, what it looked like. I hope this format works for you. If you think of anything better, or if you don't like it, if you like it, comment below. Tell me what you think. If there's a way to change it up, but I feel like this would be the best way that I knew of how to do this right here. Again, going vertical strikes against the perpendicular against the grain. This next attack right here was interesting when I went horizontally and going with the grain of the wood. You can see right here that it was easily able to start splitting the wood because it was going with the grain and able to start separating, which I found interesting. If people back in then knew of that they would orient their shields a different way. Because yeah, here's another one. You probably can't see it because of the actual splitting or not, but it's diagonal enough that it's able to sink far deeper into the wood because of with the grain. So if there would be times where the person would rotate his shield so it happened to not directly strike. This would actually probably be most correct, where most of the sword blows would glance off of the face, off of the front of it. But I'm doing a lot of testing off the side to see how well it would hold up if it would happen to embed into the actual edge of the shield. The front of the shield, as you can see here, not a whole lot of like damage wise. It gives it a nice scarred, sort of weathered look, which is kind of nice, gives it that appeal there, but not damaging of the structural integrity. I have the next one here, which this one, as you can see, has the canvas facing on the front and on the side. And as you can tell just by the first initial strike, by the shock on my face of how much it was able to, yeah, stop some of the blade momentum going in. Now, granted, being plywood as opposed to planks, that may have factored a small part into it, but notice the difference there of having the canvas facing and how shallow that blade is and how the wood seems most intact right there. Do another attack on there, and you can see the same thing happened. Like fairly decent hit right there, and the damage inside. Yeah, the canvas facing seems to do a lot of protection and to give it strength and to the wood from splintering and separating itself right there. Kind of have to get on my knees right here to do a frontal attack right there to see if it would happen, because being a short shield and B being a, I wouldn't say I'm a tall man. I'm pretty much average. I'm exactly 6 foot. There's nothing there. But canvas facing with there doing a lot to help with the front blows on there. Like that is like minimal damage to my mind right there. That you could easily fix that or not even have to patch it up right there. And for fun, I decided to go with a two-handed strike. And full blown right there, and you can see how kind of shocked I was at how much the canvas facing stopped most of the blade and helped keep the shield in good condition right there. So I think this is a win for the canvas facing, which is why I think a lot of the shields had that, and if I made shields, I would definitely keep that in there. This one right here has the only the rawhide, no canvas, and in my opinion, as you can see from the close up, it does a decently adequate to the canvas facing there, and that it provides enough of a cushioning blow besides keeping all the wood grain and all the planks together. That's the kind of part of the job of the rawhide, is to, as when they apply the rawhide to the shield, the rawhide kind of shrinks and it helps bind the wood together. So not only does it help the integrity, but it also seems to cushion. Here's another blow, right? Very decent, about the same thickness as when the canvas was on there. So it seems to cushion it a little bit right there. So I say this is another good reason why they had rawhide around the edge as well. So I had to go for another front attack. Again, this is just the wood, but not canvas again, but it seemed to do just fine with that. Like, go, yeah, sure, yeah, attack it while it's down. There we go. But as you can see from there, the mostly with or without canvas facing on there, it seemed to do just fine. Like the integrity of the wood, whether planks or one piece of wood, would be fine from a frontal attack. This is where the limitations of, I think, just rawhide, as you can see right here, take place. Notice how the wood is starting to split and splinter. This is where the canvas facing would, I think, shine in this particular instance, whereas the rawhide helps. But this is, it goes to another win for the canvas facing. The Norman Kite Shield that I have here. I decided to do another test, a secret test with this one, because there's something hidden underneath this just rawhide. Is that I hot glued some rope to the edging to see if having another layer of somewhat to try and help cushion it to see if it would help out. And as going from these attacks right here, you can see that it doesn't seem to be doing much to it. It looks like it's about pretty much the same thing as just when the rawhide was. I mean, this is just the same plywood, half-inch thick, with rawhide. This one just has rope, and it seems to be, in my opinion, kind of just the exact same. The rope doesn't seem to be doing much. Now, mind again, rope, there's different varying degrees and strengths and qualities, so maybe I have the wrong type of rope. But yeah, I mean, if you look at that, rope is not seeming to help at all. So why would I bother putting it on if it doesn't seem to be doing anything? Sorry, rope, you had one job, you failed. This was a kind of an interesting notice right here. Again, the frontal attack, the gashes are pretty much the exact same as every other ones, but they seem to be deeper or more extreme, but they're not. And I'm wondering if it's just because of the stark white paint making it look as bad, which I wonder if played into the aesthetics, where if like people wanted to have white shields, that they would have to constantly repair them. I don't know. I have to do some more research into that one there. And again, showing how the limitations of just rawhide and ropia did nothing to help with that. But just rawhide cushions enough, but if you get a two-handed blow, it sinks in deep and starts splintering the wood right there, which is another win for the canvas, I think, in my mind. I think we'll round it off again with the last of the half inch thick here, inch thick. This should be the whole kit and caboodle right here. This is the half-inch thick planks, has canvas facing and the leather rawhide around the edge, and that definitely seems to be doing the having that both combination right there does well. Man, that was a nice, good, clean cut right there. Not too much damage. I can easily probably fix that, get some glue or get some different patch of rawhide and sew that up there. I mean, I don't have, these are just like, just kind of the rawhide is sitting on the shield. It's not stitched on there, which would be the normal one right there. This one did not even seem to even touch the wood right there, because it was kind of near the oaken handle right there, but it just seems to just barely cut through the rawhide and touch the canvas. showing to know how good that combination is right there. This one right here was the interesting one. I don't know if you can see it close up, but the wood is starting to split. See, because it's going horizontally along with the grain. But as soon as I take the sword out, pretty much because the canvas facing is on there, it pulls it back together. Shows one more win of why the canvas facing, I think, is really needed. Because if I would be making shields for in the Viking times, I would definitely, having done this test, would have canvas facing on it. And if you're doing it, I highly recommend it too. Again, another win to show that doesn't seem to be damaging the shield integrity whatever, and if not, it's helping. That would actually be a metal shield boss right there. So that would actually just glance off of that rather than striking the wood. But I'm still working with metal right now and trying to get a hold of that. And a good two-handed strike. Whereas previously, it would be sunk deep in there and be splintering. This one right here, you can start to see it's kind of splintering in the back right there. But pull that out, fairly good, clean cut, showing you the win combination of having both the canvas facing and the leather rawhide. All right, now we are on to the 1/4 inch thick wood, seeing what it does with 1/2 inch thick, seeing what will happen if we half the wood down and see. Okay, again, see the splintering that takes place. Again, showing you why canvas, I think, is no longer desired, I think is needed in this one. Here's an interesting one. This is not fully with the grain, it's kind of diagonal, but it's enough that it's able to start splitting the wood. Again, it's kind of because of it's thinner, so it's easier to split it. But again, showing you how going horizontally, with the grain. Yeah, see that? Kind of shows that no matter how thickness of the wood, it's just the wood in general. You can't do anything to help with that. But I was pretty much on the seam right there where the glue was. So yeah, that would definitely split it apart there. Just going to show how much the canvas would help hold it in place right there. I mean, another attack right there from the front. One, two, two. Okay, there you go. Yeah, how about you? There you go. But yeah, going from perpendicular would be the more desirable to make sure the sword landing on there to not damage the shield as much as possible when you see the sword coming towards you. So you would orient your shield, in my opinion, I think, to minimize that as possible. Or maybe in the heat of battle, you would just try to block it as soon as possible to not let a sword smash into your skull. Again, the even 1/4 inch thick wood does not seem to be cutting noticeably deeper than the 1/2 inch. This attack here was noticeable. Oh yeah, you can tell by the shock on my face. I accidentally hit the neighbor's house with some of the wood splinters that came off. So yeah, there's that shield. That one's done. Going on to the rawhide, the seeing of his cushioning a bit. Again, cushions a little bit of it, but then you can see the splintering and wood fragments that goes on. And when it doesn't have a canvas facing in the front. And rawhide, can do its job somewhat, but it's the combination of having rawhide and canvas. And yeah, look, fairly decent hit right there, but fairly shallow uh, cut in there once pulled out. Again, horizontally, there's really nothing much you can do. If it's horizontal, unless you have a canvas facing to pull the wood back together, it will start to split the wood if it lands along with the grain right there. And perpendicular or vertically, I guess. Well, this one's more of a diagonal, kind of half and half in there. But again, rawhide doing its job of trying to keep the shield together and cushion some of the blow right there. Another test of the just plain wood, like on the last one. But front of the shield seems to be doing fine. You know, gashes seem to be similar to what the half-inch thick wood was. So the front of the shield doing fine. I would have a canvas facing again. Hashtag canvas facing. And shows the limitations of what just rawhide can do. If you land a powerful blow to the edge of it, it will splinter and just fall apart right there. So yeah, kind of similar to the blue one. Throw it to by the wayside there. Now we have the canvas facing. And now showing you how much that this just glued fixture will provide. Mind you, mine is a cotton drop cloth that you can get from like when you're painting and stuff. That's where I get it. It's a fairly large piece of fabric, fairly cheap. You can get it. That's what I'm using. So about mine is cotton. I know that in the treatises and stuff they wrote down, they used linen. Uh, so I do not have that because oddly enough, here in America, it's kind of hard to acquire just plain linen unless you go to like a fabric store to get it. So maybe one of these days I will see if I can get and see the difference between what cotton versus linen, the thickness of linen versus thin linen. So maybe one day that'll be another test that I can do when I get more shields to take care of and destroy. Again, just marveled at how much just that simple thing of just gluing on some fabric on there will help bind that wood and stop the sword coming in from the edge right there. Kind of have to use my foot to hold it down because if not, the shield just starts flopping everywhere. Fairly decent, attacks in the canvas, helping to hold the wood intact, even only just being a 1/4 inch thick. A kite shield, I don't think would be a 1/4 inch thick. I think it would be a 1/2 inch thick. Because the Skjöldr, the Viking era type shields, they would generally be a 1/4 inch thick. But fairly decent. The cornerbow looks like just the tip of it was able to slice through there. Decent cut, minor splintering, and the canvas facing doing its job. So here's the whole package here. Got the 1/4 inch planks, canvas facing, rawhide edge. I was like, it's almost right on the oaken handle there. But yeah, look, fairly good hit, and the whole combo doing its job. Just sit back and bask in the glory of it. Yeah, fairly decent hit going on to the edge, a little bit diagonal, but yeah, it's stopping it fairly decently and making a nice, easy, clean cut that you decide whether if you want to bother repairing that amount of damage or just leaving it, making your shield very reusable and prolonging the shelf life, should we say? And this is more of a diagonal cut right there. You see a bit of the some splintering, a little bit deeper, because it's kind of going somewhat with the grain. This one was fully horizontal here, and again, you can't really do much. Again, like as I said about going with the grain, that like the wood will just do what is. You can't really do anything about it. But again, the wonders of the canvas facing, once you pull the sword out, is that you can immediately put it back into place. That canvas will hold it back in there, yeah, because it's a wood splint and doing. But yeah, from this side, you can hardly tell where the damage is because the canvas is doing it. Here's another attack. And again, with the grain, splitting the wood. But from the front, you can hardly tell. Don't hit the camera there, Levi. Spent a lot of money on that camera. But yeah, it's showing to show what the this has been an amazing experience for me, and I hope you've been enjoying this. Of like the never would have figured this out unless I had done all this test right here. See what the stark white paint on there does here. Actually, on this one, it seems to be more better than just what the Norman Kite Shield was, because I think the canvas is helping it. Again, another win for the canvas. It shows less minimal wear damage and keeps everything intact. And for a two-handed strike, I think that landed straight on the oaken handle. No? Okay, I mean it was pretty darn close right there, but yeah, for a two-handed strike, granted perpendicular, vertical attack, gives it a nice clean cut right there. And this is going on to the uh, quote unquote half-inch thick. This is the extra reinforced quarter-inch plywood with another piece of plywood on there. So the previous ones that we have been seeing was all quarter-inch. So this is basically going back to the half-inch thick to see if it's necessary to have a half-inch thick wood. But then again, that increases the weight and how much you're holding in your hand. So it may tire you out more. It's a lot slower for you to maneuver that shield. So is it worth it for you to have a shield that thickness? Again, it looks like it seems to be slowing the way down a bit because it is thicker wood, quote unquote. This type of wood having two layers of I think have fourth plywood plus fourth inch plywood would not be a thing. I think they would just have like half-inch planks. But yeah, it seems to be stopping it a little bit better than the quarter inch. But then again, is like, is the quarter inch just good enough? It stops it fine. That do you need to have the half-inch one? Currently, from my standing point, from the way me using shields, I'm fine with the quarter-inch thick, with the canvas facing on the front. This is kind of interesting. The stark white cuts, you very noticeable, and the cuts on the black is like you can hardly see it, in my opinion. It's going to show like the difference of what the aesthetic paint that you have if there was a cut on there. It was very interesting there. So let's do a final two-handed strike to see there. Oh, I think that one landed directly on there. Yeah, so okay, so oaken handle has to stop it somewhat, so can't get really the full effect, but just goes to show again, like if you want to have half-inch thick or quarter-inch thick, it seems to do once it has the combo of canvas and rawhide. It's up to your choice to decide what you want. And now we're on to the spear test. Here we are doing thrusting with a one-handed strike. I would alternate doing one-handed thrusts with two-hand, and of course throwing. The middle section of that just completely shattered right there. Just going to show that the thrown spear probably has the most penetrating power and probably momentum behind it. So, quote unquote, most damage done. But I wonder how often that would be done exactly. Now, this one has the canvas facing on the front of it, which you can see just even with the basic, one-handed thrust, it seems to be. Oh, come on, let us stay in there. And, it's a fun part where you get to throw and you're hoping it sticks, and sometimes it doesn't. And yep, the canvas facing does it show? Okay, it looks like it's just peeking out as general, that because the thrown capacity is able to do that. Want to stick in there? Oh, I think it did. I think it's in there. Yes, yes, it is. Woo! All right. Okay. Yep. See, the thrown capability does able to penetrate just enough so it goes in and out. But the canvas again doing its job to help cushion the blow, and yeah, that looks minimal damage. You just press it back down. Minor splitting in the back. You see, I have given up on the white plastic stand to hold things because it was just flopping out of place. I needed the wooden one to glue some of the other shields, but I decided it wasn't working, so I had to bring back the old wooden end table. Back to our wooden shield with no canvas on there, but it's all one piece, just like the green one was. By the way, comment below the designs of which ones you like. And also I'm kind of interested in if there's any people who are colorblind in like the green red spectrum, what exactly do you see on that particular type of shield? Because for me, I think it looks as it's a great color reference that Viking Volknot symbol, but what exactly do you see in there? Because I'm not specifically colorblind. I just would like to know your opinions there. Again, having the thrown spear has much more capability. You're able to penetrate through the entire thing. Well, not substantially, but that's the power of having it thrown. See if we can get another thrown one that actually stick fully into there and stay there. I say that counts. There you go. Again, I have no idea how often the that tactic would be used, whether to throw your primary weapon to embed it into the opponent's shield. So at the cost of possibly immobilizing their shield, you are losing your primary weapon. I don't know if that is too much of a cost effect ratio there. So it's up to the person who wants to decide, like, you know what, spear is not doing good, I'm going to pull the sword out now. Again, the white paint makes it kind of look a little bit deeper than it is, but yeah, it's just barely uh, tipping through the side there. This right here, I don't know if you saw, was a downward strike. I had it over my head and I brought it down into the shield. That's began the start of another interesting thing I learned that you'll see throughout the rest of the spear montage here. Uh, the thrown spear on the kite shield, because it's a bit taller and top heavy, was not able to land a good blow for the camera. To be honest, that is kind of what would happen. It would just glance off. And to be honest, if you were having that thing thrown at you, you would position your shield to have it glance off and not embed in it. I tried again, but it didn't work. You can see. Yeah, better, but that would probably be the more typical effect of what would happen if you were in battle having a shield and that projectile thrown at you. But again, the force of it being able to penetrate through the entire thing when you have thrown spear. And this one is the, shall we say, the Mag Daddy, the one that we has all the special kit in there. It has the planks, half-inch thick, canvas, and rawhide. The rawhide not doing anything with the spear test here, but well, that looks like it was like right on a seam right there. It didn't even do anything. But yeah, again, doing another downward strike. You'll get later on, you will see what happens with the quarter-inch thick wood, what happens there. But yeah, the canvas, making it look all nice and pretty. Not too much damage. Doing his job. Doing a two-handed thrust as opposed to just one-handed. Obviously, is able to have more force behind it, so it's able to penetrate through it. But yeah, the canvas still doing its thing, doing what it needs to do. And even though it's 100% all the way through, yeah. Also happen to be on the black paint, so it doesn't really. Oh, here, spear throw, come on. Ah, so satisfying when it lands in there. Again, you probably would never want to have a spear embedded in your shield as you're running about, but it's fun to do, and it's much more fun for you guys to watch, isn't it? All right, now we have moved on to the quarter-inch thick wooden shields here. So let's see how they hold up. So I see, just plain wood, being that thick, without anything else. Let's do it. Oh wow, that's even more telling there. Even just a one-handed thrust, and you can probably knock some of the planks out of there. In case you're wondering, right there, that's where the spear happened to graze and is able to separate the wooden planks there. And even a two-handed thrust was able to even break off more wood there. I legitimately could not find where the impact was, so yeah, couldn't find it, so I'm not going to bother. Let's move on. So another two-handed thrust, able to have more penetration capabilities, should be able to penetrate in and out the backside there. But yeah, even vertical, perpendicular was able to split the wood. And oh dear, thrown test? Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, how far deep did that spear go into? Like, okay, so the entire spear point is through the shield there. And we'll do another test again because the rawhide of this one is not doing anything for the test here. But another example here, go with perpendicular parallel to the wood grain, starting to split a little bit there, but a little noticeable there. I tried to alternate again, having parallel with the grain and perpendicular against it to see if there was a difference there. See, again, you're still able to penetrate quite good with a one-handed thrust, but not having the same able to split the wood apart when it goes with the grain there. Again, two-handed thrust have much more power behind it. It's definitely able to split, and of course it's with the grain here. Again, can't do anything. The wood just acts naturally. There's nothing really you can do about that. And this one's perpendicular uh, to the wood grain there. So not much splitting happening, but still definitely two-handed thrust able to penetrate through there quite powerfully. Let's do a thrown one. Okay, so no splitting so far. It's pretty good. Let's see how. Okay, well that is still fairly deep though. It's almost to the blade is almost practically completely through there. So another one just for good measure. So there we go. There's the splitting right there that I see there. That's because you don't have any canvas on there like this one does. Again, sorry for the kite shield being a little flimsy in the test because it wants to flop over, but again, that kind of seems to be what the natural thing would be, is that the shield would naturally react and bounce back. So that's probably what the more accurate test would be like. And just looking at that, just quarter-inch thick with the canvas, that's all that you see right there. Just going to show just how impressive that can actually really be right there. Here is a downward strike again. This will continue going on to the later of what I discovered of how much that is able to affect certain types of shields there. Look at this. It's able to one-handed strike over my head, even with the canvas facing on there. I'm able to slightly penetrate through there, which I found amazing. Like it seemed to have more power behind it bringing it down. Again, we'll come back to that later. Two-handed thrust there. Doing about the same amount damage as before, as there's more power. Again, I don't know how often you would make a two-handed thrust, because then you would have to grab it with both hands. In other words, where would your protection be if you had a shield? Granted, it could be strapped to your arm, but you're not utilizing it to effect. But just showing you that obviously a two-handed strike does have more power if you needed to. Also in the sagas, it does mention that one of the Vikings grabbed his shield with two hands to make a powerful thrust there. Hey, did it actually embed in the shield? Hey, look at that! You're improving there, Levi. Good job. Again, the fully see through the entire hole there, but is able to hold together pretty good. Now this is the back to our quarter-inch planks glued together, but it has the canvas facing. Again, the rawhide not doing anything. But ooh, even with the grain, it's able to start splitting a little bit. But you pull it out, and wow, look at that! That the canvas just holds it back together, pulls it back, able to reuse it, no problem. And that was even with the grain, because I think this one is perpendicular. It's a vertical strike there. Yeah, so it probably doesn't have minimal splitting capabilities. Yeah, not much going on. So it just embeds in the wood. Yeah, just look at that right there. Two-handed thrust going into there, which looks like, yeah, this one has noticeably more splitting even on this side here, but that's because the spear is still inside there. Yeah, you can look at how well it's splitting with the grain there. As soon as you pull it out, like it just immediately falls back into place and conforms. If you want to get like a little bracer on there or glue it back, be no problem. Get a two-handed thrust, but perpendicular, so not causing like a little bit of splintering there. Interesting, cool that it's able to do that. But minor damage. Now, this is where I found that the downward strike, single-handed, I was able to penetrate, again, far deeper than normal, which led me down a little rabbit trail. And to demonstrate this, I will go back to the Bayeux Tapestry. The Bayeux Tapestry, which is the depictions of William the Conqueror in 1066 on his Norman invasion, which is right after the Viking period. But look at the way their horsemen and foot soldiers are holding their weapons. They have it above their heads. Now, granted, there are horsemen in the depictions that have their weapons, by their side, like under their armpit, like a lance, like we typically view how a spear should be wielded. But if you look at other pictures, like look at the first horseman here. He has it under his arm. The second one has a banner, so it's upright. But then the next two behind him have it above their heads, either to be thrown or to bring in a downward strike, because as I felt, it seemed to have more power behind it than to have it by your side thrusting forward. Look, here's another one. The foot soldiers and horsemen seem to have their spears above their heads, bringing it down. Seems weird that in this test that I discovered by accident, because I thought, what could go wrong? I could just make a strike going downwards. They seem to have known about it for centuries. Yeah, and going back to downward strike again, but this is perpendicular to the wood grain, and ooh, we almost hit the oaken handle there. I do wonder what would happen if you happen to hit the right along the handle, because you would have to go through the quarter-inch wood and then into the inch oaken handle. What that would do, and then going into the thrust or the thrown spear, which obviously has far more power. So from this angle, it looks pretty bad, but then once you pull it out, you're able to just snaps right back into place. We'll go ahead and make one more thrown spear test before we wrap this up. And oh, speaking of hitting the oaken handle, I think that just missed it. Oh, look at that. It's just missed that oaken handle right there. That would have been so cool to see. But no, again, just goes to show you how much capability the spear has when thrown, and how much the canvas prolongs the longevity of the shield. And just to show the aftermath, here's the shield without canvas, and here's the shield with. I appreciate you being on this journey with me. I gotta go clean up now. Yeah, that can go chuck to the wayside there. I'm so sorry that this is almost 45 minutes long. It took so long editing, you have no idea. I have other footage that it's its own separate video if you want to check that out. So until next time, I hope to see you in the next one.